Hey guys, how's it going? It is a cold winter's morning here, but today we are talking about why Bryson Dechambeau's Masters plans didn't quite work out after all the hype, after all the talk about strategy, after everything. Why didn't they work around Augusta? And I've even got a my old driver, which has one of the Jumbo Max Bryson Dechambeau super chunky fat grips on it. I used to use this a few years ago, and yeah, it was interesting. I might actually give it another test out and tell you guys some more about it, but that will be in another video. So why didn't Bryson's plans around Augusta work out? Obviously, there was a lot of talk, a lot of hype about how he was going to be super aggressive off the tee, drive it so far down there, turn all of the par 5s into par 4s, and basically turn the whole golf course from par 72 into a par 67, which a lot of people weren't very happy about with all this talk. Especially I think the people at Augusta, maybe the people setting the course up as well. And there's already a lot of talk with Augusta and kind of the long drivers turning certain holes into very easy holes. But obviously Bryson hasn't won the Masters. His plans aren't going to work out. And what might he look at doing differently next year? So let's talk about what went wrong. Obviously, from the very first tee shot, Bryson basically hit it into no man's land and made, I can't remember, I think it was a double bogey, or maybe he made just one single bogey, I'm not sure. But then on holes like 13, which is a really easy hole for him, or should be an easy hole, because he can cut the corner. So par 5, he can cut the corner, basically hit a wedge into a par 5 for his second shot, which he actually did in the second round. And so why didn't he end up at the top of the leaderboard? Well, you look at people like Tiger Woods and how they're playing Augusta, and obviously they know the course so well and they're plotting their way around. And I think there's two types of holes at Augusta for the most part. I think there's holes where you would look at being very aggressive off the tee because it has a very high reward, something like maybe 13. And then I think there are other holes where you don't need to be aggressive off tee, you don't really gain that much. And the thing is about Augusta on any of these holes, that if you do miss a shot, if you miss it in the trees, if you hit it in the water, you're not just going to drop one shot. It's most likely going to be a double or a triple bogey, and that's what's really killed Bryson when he's missed a shot. And Bryson hasn't played well this week, by the way, guys. He isn't playing well this week. If he was, maybe his strategy would have worked out a bit better, but I mean, that's easy to say. If you're playing well and being very aggressive, you're probably going to do better than if you're being very aggressive and playing badly. But so he did miss shots in the wrong places, and obviously he wasn't trying to miss them there. And it's hard to say if that's just strategy or poor execution. But I think there's holes around Augusta where for Bryson, he's a long hitter anyway. He doesn't need to be going at the ball 100% to still be the longest driver on tour. But if he could just get the ball in play, he's still going to be hitting less club in for his second shots. Because you have to remember, guys, Bryson, even with his irons, it's not just with his driver, even with his irons, he's like 2 iron lengths further than the longest on tour, meaning that like his pitching wedge goes like 165. So if he's, if someone else is hitting maybe a 9 or 8 iron 165, he's already hitting a shorter club into that hole, even being at the same level with the drive. And I think that's what's kind of let him down, because there's a lot of chances, a lot of these par 5s and even par 4s, where he was being so ultra aggressive, trying to get every yard he could out of the ball, that basically he ended up hitting it in some terrible spots. And then he couldn't be aggressive, and it was trying to scramble for par. and if he'd just be just not safe. He doesn't need to be safe, but if he just played his normal game, I think it would have suited him a lot better. If he just got the ball in play, even some more 3-woods off of tees, hybrids, he's still going to getting his 3-wood and hybrid down there the same distance as most people's driver, and then hitting a shorter iron into these holes. So yeah, definitely poor execution, but poor planning, I think, as well. He didn't need to be ultra aggressive. I think even if he'd just played his normal game, he would have given himself far more chances, which also would have taken the pressure off. I think we've seen with Bryson this week, he's gotten very frustrated, and I think he has got a few unlucky breaks. He lost that ball that he hit down, he hit a tee shot, pulled it a tiny bit left, and it plugged in the very soft conditions, and he basically lost the ball, had to go back to the tee. So he had moments like that. He had moments where he did drop some shots, and it got very frustrating for him. He did manage to make the cut, and I think he did very well to do that. It would have been easier to give up and, you know, take the weekend off and kind of hide away from what everyone's going to be saying, because a lot of the media attentions now was, you know, before the tournament on him, and now it's going to be kind of, you know, not exactly in a positive light about how he played, and I think he'll be fully aware of that. I think in future maybe he needs to not talk so much about his strategy and just focus on doing it, focus on executing it. I don't think he needs to necessarily share it with the media so much, you know, but we do like to know. We like to talk about these things. It gives us some entertainment, especially during times like this at the moment, where in the UK we're under a second lockdown and can't even play golf. So talking about it is all we got. So yeah, that's what's gone wrong from my opinion. Obviously there is a bit more to it. He hasn't played well. He hasn't putted very well. He's missed some chances. If you look back at the very first hole he played of the day, you know, he stiffed it to about 3-4 feet and missed the putt. So things like that aren't going to help him, especially that's his first hole of the tournament on 10. And then, you know, on 11 he basically hit a massive drive miles left and made a double. So, you know, it's been probably a very frustrating time for Bryson. I think in future at the Masters he just needs to figure out what holes it is worth going for, what holes it isn't worth going for. And I think even on the par 5s he doesn't need to be going 100%. You know, if he goes 100% and hits a great drive, he'll be hitting a wedge in basically to most of them. But if he just dials it back just to, you know, 80%, whatever his normal level of driving is, and just, you know, he'll still be hitting it out there 315, 320, and he'll still be hitting, like, into most of them, he'll be hitting like a 7, 8 iron, maybe 9 iron even into them. And that's fine. You know, he can still, he doesn't need to eagle every par 5. If he birdies every par 5, he'll probably win. You know, he'll play the rest of the holes probably in under par. So that's my little opinion on it. I think I would love to see Bryson come back and do very well at the Masters next year with a slightly different strategy. You know, what do you think will happen, guys? Do you think Bryson will come back next year, try to do the same thing again? Obviously, at the moment, it looks like Dustin Johnson's going to win the Masters, and, you know, that's exciting in itself. He's played incredibly well, unbelievably well, really. And, you know, it's been a really great Masters, even though there haven't been patrons there. It was a shame to see John Ram kind of suffer a bit yesterday, and some of his kind of mishaps, I guess. Especially after there was some hype with the 2 hole-in-ones, John Ram's 2 hole-in-ones earlier in the week at Augusta at the Masters, and that was really cool to see, but slightly disappointing, especially after he got himself up there. I do hope it's a bit of a tighter race today. It would make a lot more interesting watching, rather than Dustin Johnson being quite so far ahead. But I would love to see Tiger come back at the Masters and you know, get as close to the lead as possible. You know, he could get up there. It would be tough. His low round is 65 at Augusta, his lowest ever round. He's shot it twice, and you know, that's only 7 under. So even if he shoots 7 under, that only takes him to 12. Are still 4 off where Dustin Johnson is. So maybe Dustin Johnson will break the all-time scoring record as well, and also be the first person to shoot 4 rounds in the 60s at the Masters. Anyway, guys, make sure you like this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys very soon. Grip it and rip it.